Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Crick Chirp. I'm very delighted to do another program today, and it is all about mental setup and mental preparation for a team. Uh, since India has won the series in Australia, one word has taken prominence among the cricket fans, daily talk, and it is about mental setup. How Indian team came back when they were down, and they won the series. But talking about is one thing, but fully understand what is the importance of mental setup and mental strength is another thing. And that's why today I've invited Mr. Pubudu Desanaike to talk about it and talk us through this journey. And I don't think that anyone better in Canada can speak about mental strength. The gentleman with me today has done the success and achieved the success thrice. He was the guy who guided Canada in 2011 World Cup, and then he moved on to Nepal to let them qualify in the ODI and get the ODI status, and then he moved to US to do the same thing. So he has not done just once; he has done thrice. So welcome, Pubudu, to my show and Crick Chirp. I really welcome you from the bottom of my heart. And let's, without doing any much ado, let's start talking about mental strength and how you perceive and what is your concept about mental strength. So, yes, over to you, Bobudu.
Firstly, thank you for having me, Devesh, and great to be here always. Your great program. Yeah, I mean, it's a very big topic. When it comes to the international cricket, international any sport, I would say. Uh, Let me start bit like about a bit of a background how the whole setup works in different countries and why some countries are doing really well and some countries are struggling.
Mhm.
um, Now if you take the top countries like Australia, England, and New Zealand, at the moment I think they have one of the best uh, player development pathways in the world. I would say other than any other top country or any other country in the world. Um, and I mean, of course, India is catching up mainly because of the IPL effect that they have, foreign coaches coming in, and I think that even the not only the players, even the local Indian coaches have improved a lot. I think from that brush up with the top coaches and that top tournament. So India is very much like up with any other team in the world. But having said that, like when you go back to the places like Australia, even the normal attitude of Australian also has helped to this path, because they always believe themselves. They always look above the other people, and they have that belief even from younger age. And The Australian pathway is I mean, there's so much of um, studies have gone into that. And Greg Chappell, if you is one of the main person who has been working with these upcoming national players. um, they have gone into backyard cricket to uh, you know uh, they have covered basically every angle of it with the skills plus plus the mental strength part. um, and like the and they have it's one of the studies that I mean, just as an example, um, Ricky Ponting is from Tasmania, and he has grown up in a very small uh, city. uh, and so when he was growing up, and of course he's one of the best talent. And when you grow up in a small village and that caliber talent, everybody knows him. Even when he was 15 years, 16 years, people know him because they know that this guy is going to play for Australia one day. So that that confidence from the small days, and when you are playing in the team, everybody is looking for you to be the man to win the game. You have to score runs. So that confidence, when you start building from the scratch, and of course automatically, like, you become a leader.
So, Pubutu, so you have pointed out a very important aspect of mental strength, and that is cultural background and the environment in which you are born and brought up, right? Uh, but is it the only thing, or how do you prepare a player for the supreme mental strength? Because talent is one thing, but if you do not have a good mental setup and the strength, then I don't think you will succeed at the higher level. So, talk us
Yeah,
through this concept. And
surely. I mean, there's so much of you have to do it on the way. But I'm just talking about, like, there are few ways. That one is, like, one example is, like, when you are in a remote area, people start look, even at the youngest age, they start respecting you, and they start believing you. So that confidence start building up from young age and coming through. But then again, when you go into the highest level, like I'm still talking about the Australian setup, where um, um, their basics are so good. Like, when you talk about throwing from the boundary line, flat throws, hard throws from 10 o'clock in the morning, same hard throw, and the 5 o'clock in the evening, the same hard throw. They slide, they run hard for the balls, and running between the wickets. Like, these are basic stuff where, but if you see, the Australians are so much different from others, where they push the ball into the gap, and they put the pressure onto the fielder by running hard the first run or second run, and keep running. Like, I think Australia is one of the best sides for running between the wickets, stealing runs. So those are not actually taught by, when they were selected for the national team. It's a culture. It's their culture.
it's
If,
part of
if
their
somebody is
culture.
not doing
So,
it, that's the problem. And so basically, everybody is doing it. So, but when it comes to other countries, that is not the same.
yeah,
And England has a system where England is maybe the best, maybe the pathway system. They keep analyzing, and teaching what they need to do. So England is surviving at the top because of that. New Zealand is the same. New Zealand also have a very good pathway. But when it comes to Asia, like, those, even though we are very good on our techniques and skills, these are not normal things for us. We need to push to do that. Like, we need to run hard between the wickets. The throwing or sliding, those are not. I mean, even though we know that we are doing it, but it's that we have to push ourselves to do
so
that.
basically, you are saying that Australians are born and brought up, and they are brought up in the system where, right from the beginning, they are pushed beyond the boundaries, beyond their limits. So they are very good in habit of doing that. So they are very strong mentally when they are growing up. So when they come to the higher level, they don't have to do much work. It is already set up in their genetics. That's what you want to say. But Asian culture, we don't have those kind of sporting culture. So we are not that hard pressed people when it comes to sport, right? So what is the role of a national coach like Ravi Shastri, right? When he gets the people and he has to prepare the people for the mental strength.
Yeah.
What
So
do you think?
the end result of that, like, proper pathway system is like, you slowly building up a winning culture. So you cross the line to win matches, and you're going to be ahead of the opponent all the time, from the basics, that you are in control, you're going to do at the best. So if somebody wants to beat you, they have to play better cricket. It's not that just that even if you don't have the best batters, even if you don't have the best bowlers, because of the basics are so good, so other team has to play really top cricket to beat. So that's one advantage that Australia always have. And when it comes to India, I think, like, so with that whole thing, and I think 10 years of IPL has done tremendous help to Indian cricket. And I think, when you look at the youngsters coming through, they are fit, they're strong, they're mentally, like, they have gone through many times, like, even in the IPL, with in front of millions watching, and with the top coaches, with the top players playing next to them, they have performed at the highest level. And so that the belief is there. So once you have that environment, it's very easy for the national coach to take that and spread that into the national team. And I think Ravi Shastri is doing a fantastic job, and especially, like, I think the combination is fantastic. Kohli actually is a kind of a dominating player where he makes the calls, but Ravi Shastri around him has made the fantastic high performance environment where anybody can come and perform. And uh, and it was fantastic to see that Australia Test match, that where debutants comes, and so Washington Sundar or anyone in that, youngsters coming in and performing and leading to win games. So for that to happen, 100%, that the whole, not only Ravi Shastri, I think the whole the support staff system is in nicely in place, where they make sure that everything happen accordingly, and the platform is there to player to cross the boundary line and perform. So a lot of credit for the for that
So, do you
system.
believe that Virat Kohli's personality and Ravi Shastri personality is complementing each other or
It's a
supplementing each
very
other?
important matter, I would say, because if you go through a bit of history, where Peterson had more in England team, and they had clashes because they both of them are dominating. Like Peterson is like always, um, tough guy, and the coach also become that caliber. Is they're always going to have clashes, and you had in Ganguly and Greg Chappell in one
Clash.
era in India. And I mean, if you see some good setups where Trevor Bayliss and Joe Root, Ian Morgan, like that's a great combination. I think Ganguly and uh, um, John Wright had a good time, I would say. So one of the things that I was lucky to see, like in 2018, 2019 World Cup time, I was in London, and was able to spend a bit of time with ECB high performance staff. And one of the things that they were doing at that time, and I was able to witness, was, so Trevor Bayliss is going to leave after the Ashes series, and they were getting ready for the next coach, and they already has analyzed, like, who they need, what type of a coach they need to to take this system forward. uh, so they know who they're looking for, that what kind of things that they're looking from the coach. And the best thing is like, so you have the national team, and they have very strong, they call it in English Lions, so that's the A team. um, Before they even go in there, they have done every uh, thing nicely. A youngster to, you know step up into that, the national team. So the same things, the same kind of setup where they're going to have in the national team, they want to have the same similar system in the Lions team as well, so that when the players step up, there's no surprises for him. So it's very well planned, and that is, I think, in this era, I think it's very, very important, like, that um, the combination between the head coach, staff, and especially the captain plus the senior players. They need to work together. They need to believe, and that's where, if you take all the winning teams in the last 10 years, that have been one of the main areas.
So, coming back to this mental setup and strength, right? As a coach, you have been coaching like last 20 years, I guess. Um, what is that makes you understand that this player has a good mental setup and strength? And how do you identify that special, you can say, talent in that uh, player and groom him? Like, what is your pet talk and how you talk through to the young players to make him even stronger mentally? Because technically it's okay that when somebody comes to the national team, he's already a good a player, right? So how do you make up him for and ready get him ready for the uh, tough tournaments?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, like, one of the simple things that I do, of course, we need to understand every player, senior players plus the players who are coming in. And uh, and our job makes very easy when you see a player where they have their own way of doing it. They have confidence what they're doing. And even if you talk about whether it's tactical side or whether it's technical side, when you talk about it, they know how to find the gaps and move forward. You don't need to explain everything, every bit of things. And they are not like, always like, coming and asking things. But when you tell them something, they know to fix the puzzle pretty easily. So the kind of leadership um, attitude. So we know once you go through that, we know that this is the guy that when you put him under pressure into a situation, he's going to perform. Where there are a lot of other players are like, they always depend on support staff or the coaches, where they keep asking a lot of questions. I mean, asking question is always good, but I'm saying, I mean, it's between a leader or a follower. So cricket
Hmm.
is something that the game is instinct game. You're alone. You have to make your own decisions. In the middle, if you become a follower, it's always going to be hard for you. So that's where we need to build these younger players who are coming through. When I see a follower, I always like work a lot more than the skill side. It's all about developing his thinking and the belief.
Yeah, so basically, the two things very important. You said that you identify a follower and leader and differentiate between these two guys, and you work harder on followers than the leaders because leader has their own way, and there's no way to, and there's no logic to disturb his thinking. The only aspect of work is to focus on the followers and make him a leader. So if there are leaders, he becomes a leader, then he will lead the way of his own career. That's the idea, right, Pabudu?
Yeah, so I mean, for one example that Langer was mentioning about Smith, Stephen Smith, there he was failing a few innings against India,
Hmm.
and I saw an article from him that he talks about he's his own coach, like I was saying about Smith, like that he's his own coach, and he will figure out to score runs in the next game. So
And he did it.
yeah, and he came into the next that innings, and he started aggressively and going after bowlers at the beginning, and he settled down and he scored I think he scored 100 in that innings. um, so like as a coach, you only have to make the environment around him, because you know that he is going to find the path, where somebody may need a lot of help from the coaches to, when especially when you're not doing well.
Yeah. So, coming back to this India and Australia series, right? What do you think that after India got out in 30 on 36, like it was a embarrassment to at least to say, but they came back in Melbourne and thereon they just they keep on doing better and better. So, what is the role of Ravi Shastri, which you can visualize and walk us through? Like, what do you think that was going through in the mind of Ravi Shastri, and how he managed in the absence of a great leader like Virat Kohli?
Yeah, I think like that that innings that India got out, like cheaply, was I would say, like that's one of the best fast bowling I have seen for many years. Like those are some balls were unbelievably swinging bounce and on the perfect area. So um, for India to get out of that situation, they needed some help, maybe a miscatch or some kind of a mistake, or bowler coming and giving a bit of runs for them to overcome it. They didn't have that day. It
Yeah,
went
it
through.
was a bad day.
Yeah, and then when you come to the next game, next time, like I think I'm sure Ravi Shastri and the staff, all the staff had done a great job to just to pass that, done, and you're going to start from the scratch again, and move forward, and just like play your normal game. And I mean, watching basically, like guys like Pujara, where you see some brilliant balls he get beaten even after, like even against England. um, Brilliant balls, he'd get beaten, but next ball, I think he's back again. He playing his same game. I don't think a guy like him uh, like gets unsettled at any time. I think
So
he's a
basically,
guy.
the idea is to forget about the past, even in it could be like as past as the last ball, and
Exactly.
focus on the next ball.
Cricket is all about staying in that present moment. You
Present.
you face that present moment too. So I think even though when we talk about it, it's very easy to say it, but in that moment, like you can easily get carried away. But when you have a good coaches, good support staff around you, uh, I think that makes a huge difference. Like to get that player's confidence and I think like the basic example in that Australia series was like even the youngsters coming and doing well and the bowlers like I mean like uh,
Siraj.
with Siraj and them like keeping one in one area, having that patience, and when you are doing the right thing, you get a bit of luck also onto your side. I mean,
Yeah.
even though India won that series, like there was some key moments that Australia let it go, and if Australia has taken those one or two catches, it would have been a different ending.
Hmm.
But when you're doing the right thing, the luck also is
Favor
going to
you.
come
Favor you.
on your side. So I think India did everything right in that series.
So Pubudu, now we'll jump to another because we have a lack of time. We have just allocated 30 minutes. Quickly on when I look at Sri Lanka, right? And no one better than you, I think, authorized to talk about Sri Lankan cricket because you have played a test match for Sri Lanka, you have played ODI for Sri Lanka, you have been a part and parcel of one of the best team in that time in 90s. And we have seen a lot of talents coming out from Sri Lanka, like Sangakkara, Arvinder De Silva, Rana Tunge, and then Murli Dharan, and Dilsan, and so many people, like very talented players, came out from Sri Lanka. But what I have been noticing for last Mahila Jayawardene, but for last 6 7 years or maybe 10 years, I will say that we have not seen excellent talent coming out from Sri Lanka. So, what do you think? Is it a system which is failing, or is it the culture has changed in Sri Lanka? What is your
Um,
take on it?
yeah, like I think I mean I have to start with saying that Sri Lanka has gone into the wrong direction a bit too far, and even for them to come back, uh, I think it's going to take few more years. Now, if I had to analyze the Sri Lankan setup, where I mean, not only Sri Lanka, some other countries also in that same place where, um, like in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, Sri Lanka, like I mean, we still have the best school cricket system. We always depend on the Sri Lankan school cricket system to produce cricketers. So um, uh, 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was so much of great talent. Even now, there's no short of talent.
Hmm.
But the difference that we had from that era to this era, where when the T20 came in place in around 2005 6 and to now, and every country has a top cricket league, and brushing up the local players with the foreign players plus foreign coaches has made a huge difference into system where Sri Lanka didn't have that for the last 15 years.
Okay.
So the talent is there, but when it comes to the same thing that we talk about, like these basics things from a culture, basic culture where running hard, good throws, top fielding, techniques. Those little things where things that you are in control to do at the best.
Yeah.
uh,
But
those things are not happening, and that's the main, I would say, this the setback.
yeah, but then in that regard, if I see Canada, right, the Canada has GT20 for last 2 years going on. So what do you think that it will bring result for us in going in a future?
No, so definitely GT20 is like one of the most important tournaments for Canada to move forward. But the problem is how many players are playing in that. Canadian players are playing in that tournament. Like
Yeah.
I was watching T10 Dubai T10 recently, and every team in that tournament, UAE players are playing, 3 4 players per team, and they were performing as well. But I think Canada didn't have enough. players. I hope that that will change in the future, and get Canadian players get more opportunity to play.
But focusing on Canada, because now we have spoken about Canada, and I didn't have any mood to talk about Canada today. But now, when the topic has come, is one of my favorite topic, right? I have seen that Canada has got a lot of talents. There is no dearth of talents. A very highly skilled batsman we have, and bowler we have like Saad Jafar. We have Rizwan Chima, a wonderful hitter of the ball, and then we have Nitish Kumar, a very technically sound player. But what is that one thing missing in our player that more often than not, and I'm not going to pick any one player on this, I have seen that we are not able to finish a match, and a crucial match, I will say, and a tournament. What is that missing in our players? Like technically they are perfect, they are very good players, but why we are not able to close the tournaments and win the tournaments, crucial tournaments? And when you are playing, like you are hitting a century, right? But you are not able to finish that match. So what is the point of hitting that century? So those kind of thing comes to my mind when I look at the Canadian players. So what is your take on it?
No, I think mainly, like, I mean, of course, like, players has to take the responsibility, but I won't blame fully into the players, because you need a good system, players to perform at the highest level. And Canada, yes, G20 is there, and after that it's just local games, and unfortunately, the players don't get that opportunity to play high level. But having said that, also I want to tell some other things where, like, uh, for example, if you talk about New Zealand rugby, All Blacks rugby team, they have been dominating rugby. I don't know whether you follow rugby, but
No.
I always follow rugby, and I mean, All Blacks is one of the best teams in the world. Um, they have the best culture. That's why they were able to maintain for the last 20 years, like, number one team in the world. So the reason that I brought that up is, like, they have a system where it's a player driven system, where if somebody doesn't come on time for training, if somebody didn't do something, like, they're supposed to do, they are they have to answer the players team, not the coaches, not the association, not anybody. So so players are driven, like, they play to win. They do everything, like, right off, on and off the field, to win games.
So you
So
think that that is missing in Canada, in Canadian team?
it's not going to come when you have once a year tournament or once a year training. I
Mm.
mean, regardless of how much you try, if you're training 1 month before a tournament, you cannot come. It cannot happen. So I mean, one of the things that, even when I was trying, and I was very close to get that into the US system, was the culture within the team, where you play for the flag, you play for the country, and every performance is all about the team. Like, it's winning tournaments, winning games. Um, and 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 I think, like, uh, in the North America, maybe a bit of a thinking where the players expect a lot from the association, which is, I mean, association is the main organization. But end of the day, the it's not that, like, a team needs you, like, you need the team. You need to have that attitude, like, team is the main. Where today, like, like, if I get dropped, but my team still wins. That's what you want. I don't worry about my players. I mean, somebody else comes and perform. We need to win that tournament or game.
So it is about enjoying each other's success and look at the team's
Yeah,
perspective.
basically a culture where you build up to do the right thing all the time. So when you have that culture, automatically you start doing the simple things right. I mean, I always talk about, like, all these simple things that run in between wickets to fielding to everything.
So
And when you come to that highest level, it's about everything that you do off the field also matters.
so one thing, Pubudu, I would like to ask, and then we can wrap it up quickly. Two things, and I will leave it to you to answer it. Why Canada is not able to win the crucial tournaments? is it a coaching which is in problem, or it is which is what is the problem from your perspective? What when you met last time in against Canada in Namibia, what is that you saw and you observed?
Like the I mean, ICC has put up a very tough system. I would have to say that, like for every associate to to come through with this qualification system. And so basically sometimes, like most of the times is one-off tournaments. And you lose one game, or you lose one game badly, that has effect on the whole tournament. And you can't catch up later on. So it's all about, like when you go into tournaments, it's the whole tournament is one. You cannot have one game at a time. Means, like I mean, you play one game at a time, but uh, when you win you enjoy, and when you lose badly. You cannot have that system. I mean, if you want to win in associate level, uh, even if you lose, you lose well. I mean, you need to give a fight. You need to, every run is important.
Narrow the
There
gap.
are many
Narrow the
tournaments that
gap.
I've been in, like you are out or in from one run.
Hmm.
So it's all about collecting everything what you have in every game, whether you win or lose. So I feel that maybe, I mean, you need a bit of experience in that regard, when you go into those tournaments, unless if you have a super team where you can go and hammer every team.
Yeah. So what do you think? Because this year we are going to have some qualifying tournament in Canada. So what do you think Canada's chances?
I mean, it's a bit of a longer process for Canada for the 50 over. I mean, they have two more tournaments, which is they have a good chance of getting up there. But still, there are a couple of strong teams in their group. You never know, one bad game can change, which has happened to them in the past. But Canada shouldn't miss any of the T20 World Cups anymore. I think they have good players. They should be going every T20 World Cup from now on.
Yeah. So closing remarks. What do you think that Canada should do to make it a better culture, sporting culture, and cricket culture in our country? Like in Cricket Canada perspective, what do you think that we are missing, and what you will suggest to them to do?
I think, like I mean, in the long run, it's very important to have a very straightforward player pathway from junior cricket to the senior level, so that any youngster coming through uh, knows, okay, if I get into this level, I can go. The next level is that, and then there's a pathway from. So that pathway has to be very clear. I mean, I think we need a good provincial tournament, and GD20 is happening, and maybe another T20 tournaments under that system, like what USA is doing with minor league system, where 400 cricketers are playing for 3 months cricket. So that is going to improve. That system is going
But
to help.
but Pubudu, I disagree here that like a lot of people compare with IPL, but people tends to forget that IPL is not a 1 month tournament. There are franchisee who are investing a lot more than that. It is all around the year effort from them. Like
Yeah.
they keep on building the younger player on the nets. They give them training. They invest on the younger player. But we don't see in GT20 scenario that GT20. Let's say that it has just started. In future, we may see it happening that we do not see the follow up from the franchisee to build up a team and invest on the younger player, neither from GT20.
Yeah, so I mean, when you analyze the bigger picture of, like why Canada players are not getting enough opportunity in that tournament, is maybe the franchises are thinking that Canada doesn't have enough good players. So they need to build that structure. That's what USA is doing. Like under the major league, they are building a minor league where they have, like 24 teams playing.
Yes,
So
minor league will feed the major league in future.
exactly. And also, like I mean, you said it right, like about IPL and some other countries, like where the franchises are actually going and doing camps to find new talent. And
Correct.
uh, Like if you take Bumrah, like Bumrah didn't come from Indian system where Mumbai Indians found him from nowhere, and he's the
Yeah.
number one bowler in the world now. So um, and T20 cricket is always like uh, wants unorthodox players, and from a normal pathway, it's very hard to build unorthodox players. So if you go and search for it, you might find it. So that has to happen, and I'm sure, like the cricket Canada is aware about these things, and they all have to start somewhere.
Yeah, we hope so. And with this, Pubudu, thank you very much. And we promise to our audience, especially audience from Nepal and US, because I'm getting a lot of requests from Nepal and US to bring Pubudu on the show. And here you go. I promise you to keep engaging with Pubudu for to educate more players from a developing country, not developing in terms of cricket, not in that sense, associate countries, and keep educating you guys. Thank you very much, Pubudu, for joining me today. And I request all of my audience to keep subscribing to my YouTube channel, Cricket. And thank you very much, Pubudu, one more time.
Thank you for
Thank you very
having
much.
me.